Well, Bennett Kessler filed this following report. A couple of weeks ago, Mammoth Mountain CEO Rusty Gregory stated that his plans, as recorded in a report to the Forest Service, are to reopen June Mountain next year. Now, even so, some in June Lake continue to, quote, aggressively look for a buyer for the mountain, end quote. This, according to Mono County Supervisor-elect Tim Alpers. Now, the Forest Service did issue a letter of permit non-compliance to CEO Gregory after he announced closure of June Mountain. Now, the rules give him up to a year to come up with a plan and reopen the facility that sits on the forest permit. Now, Tim Alpers said that barring drought or financial issues, he believes Gregory is committed to reopen the mountain. As for the search for a new buyer, Alpers said CEO Gregory has said if the price is right, he would sell. Now, this year, the June Lake Revitalization Committee and others have worked hard to make their town attractive in spite of the lack of its major amenity, and that's the ski area. Now, Tim Alpers said the town looks great, lots of lights and a beautiful appearance. Now, the community has planned a list of events to attract visitors as well as cross-country skiing. Now, the event list includes breakfast with Santa, music and dancing, a winter festival and triathlon, a snowmobile rally, and new trails for cross-country skiing. Now, Alpers says he thinks the events will be successful and will continue as features when the ski area reopens. Now, Mono County earlier granted the community $100,000 for marketing. Alpers said, quote, the people understand they were granted $100,000 of their fellow citizens' tax dollars, and they're treating it as if it is their own, end quote. Now, the soon-to-be official county supervisor said that another committee is coming soon. Now, this one's headed by Carl Williams, June Mountain's former manager. Now, that group will examine how the community can help make June Mountain successful, how the mountain should be run. Alpers said they will possibly visit some ski areas in the east, which are about the size of June Mountain and are very successful. Now, the local people may examine those ski areas' balance sheets and operations plans. Now, Alpers said one vision is to look at Mammoth Mountain and June Mountain as a regional facility and not June Mountain as an overflow for Mammoth. Alpers said, quote, June can cater to young families and develop customers for many years. In short, he said, we're looking for a new way to do business. Well, Bennett Kessler filed the following report. As Inyo County Administrator Kevin Caruncio put it, quote, we're not in an expansion mode, and I don't expect us to be anytime soon, end quote. At least that's what Caruncio told the Inyo County Board of Supervisors in a discussion on the county consolidated office building proposal at last week's meeting. The board extended another deadline on that project. Now, about a year ago, Inyo County entered into a negotiating agreement with Joseph Enterprises of Bishop for development of a county office building at land at Y Road and Highway 6. Now, the lengthy process of talks and plans unfolds in phases, and Caruncio said so far an architect has worked with county departments with him on a concept of office space and organization in a new building. Now, he said he would present the office layouts to the board with his recommendations. And after the board has a say, it all goes to public meetings. Now, Kevin Caruncio made his point that Inyo County is not expanding right now and, quote, should be cognizant of that going forward, end quote. He said the project would, quote, keep to a conceptual building program involving square footages and office relationships for the purpose of going to community meetings based on input from the board, end quote. Now, Caruncio said that none of this is binding. It's part of the process, and the CAO had come to the board about the project to ask that they approve an extended deadline on the current phase to February 28th and also refund a $10,000 developer deposit to Joseph Enterprises. Now, Supervisor Richard Cervantes objected to the project itself because of the statewide economy and because, quote, the people of Inyo have not had a chance to vote on this, end quote. Now, Cervantes said citizens tried to get it on the ballot and, quote, the people who tried were sued by the county, end quote. Now, the board did approve extending the deadline and refunding the money. Cervantes voted no. And while Inyo County may not be in an expansion mode, Mammoth Brewery wants to be. In August, the Inyo County Board of Supervisors held closed sessions with brewery representatives and with Joseph Enterprises. Joyce Turner of Mammoth Brewery had confirmed the company was interested in Joseph's Enterprises' J Street property in Bishop. That's the same property that is also part of county office complex negotiations. Well, this is a nice story as local Inyo National Forest employee Hearn Crane has been selected as the 2012 Ranger of the Year. The National Forest Recreation Association was proud to announce that Hearn Crane has been selected as the winner of the 2012 Ranger of the Year award. Now, NFRA President Warren Meyer stated that Hearn represents the true spirit of a public-private partnership by his professional demeanor, high-quality standards, and strong emphasis on caring for both the land and for the visitors to the forest. Now, Crane is currently the South Zone Recreation Manager for concession operations on the Inyo National Forest. Now, Crane, pictured here between Warren Myers and Diana Pietrasanta, the Recreation Officer for the Inyo National Forest. Crane began his Forest Service career in 1981 on the White Mountain Ranger District Inyo National Forest Trail Crew, and he has since worked as the Development Site Manager for the southern portion of the Inyo National Forest. Now, Hearn worked with some of the first campground concession operations in the country and has assisted with the preparation of numerous concession prospective offerings for the Inyo. Hearn has been the recipient of several Certificate of Merit Awards from the Forest Service for his outstanding achievements in recreation management, and Crane was recently honored at the National Forest Recreation Association's 64th Annual Conference in Reno. Nicely done by Hearn Crane there. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this report. Before the general election, national news reports revealed attempts to block people from voting with new laws, ID requirements, and confusing voting hours. Inyo County Clerk Cammie Foote went the distance to make sure people could vote and that students could learn about democracy firsthand in the process. Now, Foote reported to the Inyo County Board of Supervisors last week that she had helped a citizen file a court action to compel her to let him vote. Foote explained that a local man called her and said he had registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, but that his registration apparently was not sent by DMV to the clerk's office. Foote said a check with DMV confirmed that the man had filled out a registration form. Now, Clerk Foote said she told the man to file in Superior Court, compelling her to register him, and it worked. Foote said that she wants citizens to know that this is an option they have, that they have taken steps to register, but the registration was not completed. Now, an article on the website California Watch says that others have had problems through DMV. The article says Sonoma County registrars, quote, are all too familiar with the problem. According to the article, registrars hear from a smattering of frustrated citizens who tried to register at the DMV only to find themselves ineligible to vote. Now, the California Watch report says Sonoma County had 25 applications for court orders to vote this year. Santa Cruz County had about 60, mostly from people who tried to register at DMV offices. Now, Clerk Foote said this year it seems that in Inyo, poll workers heard more problems about registering with DMV. And one more way to open the door to the ballot box this year, Clerk Foote said that she and her workers made ballot call buttons available to those who were disabled or could not access the polls. She said one voter was dropped off by dial-a-ride, was not able to enter the polls, but pressed the button, and poll workers made it possible for that citizen to vote in the parking lot. And finally, another program opened the door to qualified high school students to become poll workers. Clerk Foote sent the letters to school government classes with strict requirements, including a good grade point average, good behavior, citizenship, and parental permission. Now, Clerk Foote wanted students to learn about democracy firsthand and about voters' rights. 5 students worked polls in Bishop. One of them was from Owens Valley School, and 1 student worked polls in Lone Pine. They were trained, and Clerk Foote said the feedback about student voters was very positive.